welcome to day 5 of our nature journaling week here at Lily and Thistle. Today we're talking about one of my favorite subjects, and that is getting kids into nature and nature journaling. I have had the privilege in the last few years to introduce many children to nature journaling, and it has been awesome. I love it. Last year I taught at a private school. I taught children from kindergarten all the way up to high school about nature journaling on a weekly basis, and so we got to do it a lot. And then of course I've done it with my own children in a homeschooling setting, and then in co-ops and in the community, and so I've been able to see a lot of children at all different ages and stages experience nature journaling, and I can say that it is an amazing thing for children. It's so fun to watch it transform children. It's awesome. And so I am pretty passionate about it. But I have discovered in those years that some children are not naturally excited about it at the beginning, and that sometimes you need to know a few things to help those children that aren't naturally into nature. And so I have a few things to share with you today, and just in case you have a child like that. Or even if you don't, these are just some fun things to do with your kids. So my first piece of advice is to let them experience nature on their own terms first. So whether that looks like being left alone to just sit and look at something on their own, or if it just means playing rambunctiously, climbing trees, whatever that looks like, just let them experience nature on their own terms. Of course, you want them to be safe, but try really hard not to dictate how they experience nature, if that makes sense. And then the second thing is to just be an example. So the best thing that I've done is, especially with my own children, is to just bring my nature journal with me and find a spot and sit down and just start nature journaling. And 9 times out of 10, they will come and say, "What are you doing? What is this?" Or they'll know that I'm nature journaling, and they'll want to do it too. And so that's probably the best piece of advice I can give you, is to just be passionate about it, and you be an example, and then they will definitely catch on to that and want to do it. We talked about at the beginning of this week about different supplies. It's great to just have their supplies ready for them when they're ready to journal. And then I talked about different nature journals. When my kids were really little, like ages 3 to 7, we started doing this, and discovered really quickly that some of my kids loved having big journals that they could just do all kinds of things in, but then others really liked just little mini notebooks that they could just paint in. And I would tell you at the beginning, don't tell them that they have to write if they don't love to write. Just let them draw pictures. Just let it kind of be whatever they want. You're just getting into the habit basically at the beginning. So if they want to just pick things and tape them into their journal, that's great. Just let them let it just be theirs. And it's not a writing assignment. It's not a science assignment. It's just a fun way to discover together. Okay. The next one is to kind of establish a quiet time. So again, you're inviting them to journal. You're not forcing them to journal, but they need to also be respectful. So you can say, this time right now, depending on their age, this next 5 minutes if they're young, or this next 15 to 20 minutes if they're a little bit older, or this next hour if they're teenagers. This is going to be a time where people are going to be journaling, and so you don't have to journal, but if you're going to be out here with us, you need to be really quiet and let people focus on what they're journaling about. And so just kind of establish a quiet time for journaling. This is a great time to bring out the snacks for the younger ones. We talked about snacks the first week and how that is really important. And so this would be a great time for them to just sit and eat a snack while other people are journaling. So just establishing a quiet time. Another one is sit spots. I showed you the sit spot rug that I have, that we all have when we journal. And so that's a really powerful one. So basically they get to choose their sit spot. They get to choose where they're going to sit, and they sit on their rug. For younger kids, that kind of helps them stay in one place. And it's also just a great tool for observation. So what we do is they can sit down in their sit spot, and then they just journal about what they see around them. And it's the same spot we do it monthly. Like every month we go to our sit spot, and they get to journal about how it's changed. So of course, right now it's really changing from just a bare trees that they might be able to see from their sit spot into they're starting to see leaves poking out and our buds coming on the trees, and so they can journal about kind of things that are changing each time. It's also really cool because it helps them just focus on one little area, and they discover something new every time. So sit spots are awesome. Let's see, what else do I have? Okay, so we're going to move on to some games. So games are really, really powerful as you're getting into nature journaling, and I've got 4 different games for you today to try with your kids. So the first one is called the Sounds game, and that is a really cool one. So basically, you're going to have them sit down. If they have a sit spot, or if they have a rug, they can sit down on their rug, and you're going to have them close their eyes. I'm going to do it for you. Close their eyes, and they're going to put their hands up like this. So they're going to have like a fist like this, and they're going to put their hands up. Depending on their age, if they're little, you just want them to do one hand, but if they're a little bit older, they can do 2. And they're going to sit and they're going to listen for sounds in nature. And every sound that they hear, they're going to interrupt it there. Okay. Anyway, so they'll sit and they'll put their hands up and they'll listen for the sounds. And this is just a really great way. Their eyes are closed. They're really focused. It's a great way to help them focus in on nature and just kind of get in the zone of discovering nature and nature journaling. Okay, the next one is the blindfold game. This is really fun. So you'll just have a couple of your kids take turns putting on a blindfold and feeling nature, just using the sense of touch to feel nature. And you can take them to different places in the yard while they're blindfolded and let them touch different things. And it's a really fun game for them. And again, it helps them focus and just focus in on what things feel like, and they can guess what it is and guess where they are in the yard. It's a really fun game. The next one is called Camera. So this one you're going to get into groups of 2, and the person that is the camera, they're going to have their eyes over their hands over their eyes, and the other person is going to guide them to whatever they want to take a picture of. So pretend it's a rose bush. So the other child will direct their camera to the rose bush, and then they'll have them open their eyes for just like a minute, and then they have to close their eyes. Not even a minute, for like a couple of seconds. So they can focus in, and it's really fun because a lot of kids will like move their head a certain way, and because they really want them to focus on this, one thing in nature. So they'll open their eyes and then quickly close them, and then they have to turn around and they have to tell the camera has to tell the person what they saw and all the details that they remember about what they saw without looking back at it. So that's a really fun one. It helps them really focus in on what they're looking at. And then the last one we kind of talked about yesterday with maps. This is a really fun one. It's called Detective. And so basically each child's going to go to a different part of the yard, and they're going to find a piece of nature, and they're going to journal about it. They're going to use their 5 senses. They're going to make a map. They're going to do whatever they can to help somebody else discover what that piece of nature is. And so then once they do that, everybody gets together, and then they trade journals, and they try and find whatever that piece of nature is. And so that's a really fun one too. So just remember to let them discover nature on their own terms. Let them give them a little bit of guidance, but not too much, and just let them enjoy it, and you enjoy it too, and enjoy seeing what it does for them. Okay, that's all I have for you. I hope you enjoyed this week. I hope that it was helpful and inspirational to you. And if you journal, anytime soon, and you want to share your journal pages with me, I would love to see them. It's my favorite thing, so please send them my way. All right, I hope that this was helpful, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.